Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 4 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. Sorry, I said let's go and then I had a few little technical difficulties. Plus I was getting varied information in terms of Newcastle potential team. So I've run a little bit of an update. So check that on screen now. And then I'll get the rest of the predicted teams rotated shortly. There's that Newcastle predicted team now updated bottom right. There's various different sources going around. I would say Harvey Barnes is absolutely fine, by the way. Anthony Elanga, a bit of a doubt. There's two different teams going around, one with sharing, one not. There's also a team going around with Hall in and not. Livramento's in both teams, one at left back, one at right back. So just sharing what's been heard, not saying anything's right or wrong, just sharing that information as I got it. That bottom right hand corner, you will see my predicted lineups go around for all 20 teams. That starts there with Arsenal and Forest and obviously ends with the Manchester Derby tomorrow. Top right hand corner, you'll see my team. I've gone Semenyo in for Ismail Assar, so I'm this week for Bruggen, Porro, Konsa, Van Dijk, Semenyo, Bruno Fernandes, Wirtz, Gakpo, Bowen, Watkins and João Pedro. The reason for Watkins' vice, by the way, is just purely security on minutes versus other choices. Not that I overly fancy him. Captaincy preference: Salah over Haaland, over Ekitike, over Gakpo, Gyökeres. Bottom ticker, you'll see upcoming fixtures and all the flag players. Above that and directly below me, you'll see the benching dilemma screen, where there are two players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option. Start from those two players. I run in order left to right, pages 1 to 4. You'll find a few goalkeepers on page 5. That's the spiel. For those of you watching along live, smash a like. It doesn't cost anything. It's free content. It would truly be appreciated. And also subscribe to the channel. As per usual, I'll be going through as many of your dilemmas as I can between now and the 11 a.m. deadline. We've got 51 minutes, so let's get into it. Repeat/similar questions may well be skipped. Mike FPL says, hi James. Sar to Xavi Simons for a -4 or to Harvey Elliott for free. I would assume this isn't Ismail Assar. We've got a couple of Sars. I'll assume it's that one. Harvey Elliott for free. Excuse me at the moment. I do have Simmons in my predicted lineup. I do think he'll probably play. I've also got Elliott in my predicted Villa lineup as well. All I'd say on that is if you're prepared to stomach Simmons, as in might not start today, then there's a higher ceiling on that, isn't there, in terms of his capability of what he could be. So I don't mind that, if that's your preference. But I wouldn't be taking a -4 for a player that I wasn't even sure was going to play personally. Burke says, morning James, apologies if this is on the ticker, but would you start Josh King over Chris Wood? They're both on the ticker, and no, I would not. I do have Wood in my predicted Forest lineup. I wouldn't say it's a certainty because of his obviously travels to New Zealand. But I do think that he'll probably start, and therefore he is still talisman. Pushkar says, morning James, caught up on the Patreon videos about being dad and your experiences with Harry. Big ups my friend, that was wholesome. We recommend all in chat to hit up Patreon and access the content. Thank you my friend. Those being dad podcasts now kind of annual tradition. They're available to free members. The first two are linked in the description for the most recent one that was published on Thursday. Cole Sliver says, hi James, any thoughts on bringing in Rodgers this game as a Sar replacement? Can't afford Semenyo. I know Villa have been poor, but they've got a good fixture run. Yeah, I don't mind that if you can go there, mate. Exactly that. I think it's probably 4 fixtures and then reassess. Sean G says, hi James, hope you and the fam are good. Please ignore if I'm benching dilemmas, but play Anderson or Porro. Smash a like, people. Gosh, I don't think I'd want to go without Joachim Anderson today, believe it or not. So they're not. I assumed anyone who had Joachim Anderson would just play him this week. Porro would rank higher than Mickey van der Ven, who I've got on the dilemmas. But I think I'd go Anderson, mate. Murphy says, after positive comments on him yesterday, how do you feel about punt on Jeremy Pino to replace Sar? Before yesterday's news, my pick would have been on Dyer and don't love alternatives. You've already described it, Murphy, as what it is, right? It's a punt. We have no idea how that will, I don't think there's much doubt about him as a player. Whether that will correlate to fantasy returns, God knows, mate. As a punt, I don't mind it. Timing seems right, but you have to know that that's what it is. Greg says, hi James, do you think Salah will improve when Frimpong plays? Salah could move inside close to all the guys who like to work in the left half space. McAllister, Gakpo, Wirtz, Ekitike and Isak. It's a possibility, but also Szoboszlai has great range of passing, so if he plays right back, he can play Salah in over the top, right? Frimpong's not that sort of player, so it's a narratives one, right? Maybe. I wouldn't think Frimpong starts tomorrow. I foresee that as Szoboszlai playing in midfield, Bradley probably playing an hour and Frimpong half hour. JP says Salah captain, Richie Evanilson in for CP. CP, Cole Palmer, and would -4 worth it? Can't afford Salah without the -4. No, mate, because I would have done similar myself, right? I've deemed them going against. I'm in trouble this week and I know it. But no, I'd leave it be, mate. I'm not convinced Palmer will start, but there's some encouraging training photos from yesterday. So if he doesn't start this week, ultimately, if you still own him, and you're going to want him back quite quickly, just leave him there, mate. James Stecker says, good morning, James. I'm on wildcard. Would you give me one good, reliable long pick and one fun differential pick? No context given on my team, just 2 outright recommendations. Cheers. I don't even know a bloody position, mate. Short term, Rodrigo Muniz be my fun one for a couple of weeks. Long term, Ollie Watkins. Nemanja Kovac says, hi James, would you deal with Cunha situation, keep or sell for a hit and bench Rodgers? We'll just play Rodgers, mate. If sell, which one of Semenyo, Gakpo, Verts would you get, or wait extra week to see how Xavi looks? Just play Rodgers, mate. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, the information is more important to you. Maito says, hi James, no Salah or Robot. I have 8 Nori and Mamouche. Can field a very weak 11 with 1 free transfer. Semenyo. Is it time to wildcard on -8 to fix? Can get Robot, Semenyo and Munoz for a -8. Bench boost game with 1 free hit game with 2. If you're asking me an hour before deadline whether you should wildcard or not, my definite advice is don't wildcard. Simple as that. Adrian Farouk says, hey buddy, Gakpo or Verts for next 3 game weeks. The money saving is irrelevant. Like and subscribe, people. I think Gakpo, clearly, purely because we have more clarity of what he is, and if you end up holding him longer, that's fine. If Gakpo continues to get decent minutes, he may be hanging around for me for quite some time. Adrian Farouk, I've done. Eros Milicevic, hello my friend, says, hi James, thanks for the wildcard 4 bench boost 5 draft, you're very welcome. Please outline your plans for the next few weeks. How do you plan to get Haaland in game week 6? Free hit or transfers? What about an Arsenal attacker in game week 7 or Palmer in game week 9? So for me, I've got 3.1 million in the bank. So if I decide I want to go Haaland, it's very simple. It's spurring up to Haaland in 6 and downgrade Florian Wirtz. So it can be done. I probably need to go 5.5 or lower, I think, for the Wirtz replacement. Something like that. Josh King, even whatever. I actually looked to go in Josh King now, and I landed on going Wirtz to Semenyo in 6 to fund that if I wanted to do it. My instinct is I'll take Haaland on. Because I'm not that fussed about the other weeks. It's just that week is a nightmare. I also acknowledge that if I got him in, I'd probably triple captain him. So I've not put myself into the decision yet. 7 for Arsenal, definitely Gabriel for Murillo is a planned transfer. Others is dependent on fitness. So Watkins to Gyökeres in 7 doesn't make sense. He plays Burnley, so that's probably a wait. Saka I can get to in 7. Subject to his fitness, he needs to prove it. Palmer and a Chelsea defender in 9. Or if Saka's not proved fitness, there's a plan where actually I ignore Haaland and I get Palmer back in 6. So there's a few different strategy ideas there, mate. I detail all of them in the midweek FPL dilemma that I did for advanced tier patrons on Wednesday. Preshan Hajani says, hi James, thoughts on doing Watkins to Ekiteke for a -4, seeing that Watkins' price is going down again and Hugo only a 3-week punt whilst Isak builds up fitness. How's Ekiteke even a 3-week punt? What's to say Isak don't play 20 tomorrow, half hour Wednesday, and then an hour on Saturday? I'll not be doing that, mate. 0. Even if I'd been sitting number 2 Liverpool, 0 consideration for me. I wouldn't do it for free, mate. Jack says his sells are hold now that Ange Ball is starting up at Forest. Well, he is for the minute until we think that he's not the goalkeeper. Don't piss about with your goalkeeper. It's not worth it, mate. Ryan Max says, Bob or Reinder for a free hit punt. Smash the like. Cheers, James. Probably more Reinders for me. Kevin Owen Guy says, morning, James. Thoughts on Munoz versus Lacroix long term. Munoz worth the extra, but I don't think worth losing sleep over. Lacroix, as we detailed in pre-season, is going to be absolutely great and was really worthwhile pricing up at 5 million rather than 4.5. So if you can go to Munoz, I'd go to Munoz. If you can't, I'd go to Lacroix. I use an example on a wildcard draft I did yesterday. It was like, that was the one where I downgraded to have enough money on what I wanted. So, yeah, Munoz the preference, but if you're stuck for money, Lacroix is perfectly fine, mate. Chris Coos says, hi, James, I have three free transfers, but I'm torn between rolling or using all three. Would you sell Palmer, Gu, and Nico Williams for Semenyo, João Pedro, and Senesi / Anderson? Wildcard 13. No. On Forest defensive assets, say what I said yesterday, I'd probably be moving them on in game week 7. Depends what your bench looks like a little bit here, right? In terms of your cover, you probably need to make other moves to get rid of Go. I perfectly understand that. Depends how you feel on Palmer. Now, if you're going to want it back, I think it should sit there, as I said. So maybe if you're really stuck and think you look horrible this week, then maybe just Nico Williams into one of the two 4.5 centre backs. Teok Song says, would you do good to Mateta and bench Reinders? And would you just hold Frimpong or bring VVD or Lacroix for a hit or just roll? Wouldn't do the hit for defender, but I'll do the good to Mateta move, mate. Gavin Richardson says, love the COTC last minute bombshell this week. I think that could become a feature. Who can leave it late to say something very significant? We're pretty sure, by the way, that Yankuba Minteh is fit. And in fact, I'll share something from you, from Sam. This isn't reflective of the team that I've got predicted up for Brighton. But Sam messaged me and he said there was a bit of a giveaway in the training video for Brighton yesterday that the team might be Verbruggen, Veltman, Dunk, Van Heck, De Kuyper, Hinshelwood, Milner, Mitoma, Rutter, Minter, and Welbeck. And I said to Sam, if you haven't seen that before, it's possible Brighton have done it on purpose to try and trick the opponent. So, and I said, even if it's correct, they'll be aware that other people have seen it and they probably will never do it again. So that's why I've not changed my predicted Brighton team, but I'm just sharing that in the good faith as I discussed with Sam. Giacomo Zamboni says, hello boss, on free hit, would you do Pope, Gabriel, Barnes, or Raya, Lacroix, Semenyo? Palace double up in this case, thanks. There's nothing wrong with the Palace double up particularly, although as I've said over the last 24 hours or so, I have an inkling Sunderland might get something today. But if I was free hitting as per yesterday or on wildcard, I'd still definitely be going Palace assets. It's free hit, isn't it? I'd probably chase the Harvey Barnes one, I think. Tim Johnson says, hi mate, I have Gu, Strand Larson and Sarr with only one free transfer. Who is the most urgent sell and who to replace with as a long-term pick? I'd be considering -4 here, Tim. You've probably only got one forward here, right? Gu could get some minutes tonight. Ironically, that's not impossible. I think Sarr's your number one problem. I'd deal with that. But dealing with the other might help you out. So, does Strand Larson to Muniz get you up from Sarr to Semenyo if you don't have, or Morgan Rogers? Consider that sort of thing. Stephen Henry says, good morning, James. Appreciate how limited Brennan is as a player, but with Xavi's creativity in the 10, do you think he could be first choice on the left until January with support from Tell and Odobert? My expectation is that Colin Moani is going to be first choice on the left, mate. That's my anticipation. Covered that in detail on Monday's podcast. One of my patrons DM'd me this morning and asked me about Johnson, if I think he'll start this week. My answer to that is yes. He's also likely to be the first player substituted. I think that if Richarlison and Solanke are fit enough, we don't need 3 9s. I think Moani's going to find himself on the left a lot. CM Punk 2310 says, currently on triple captain 6, bench boost 11, wildcard 13, free hit whenever necessary. Get the bench boost out the way early or plan to 11. Such a shit chip. I cannot advise that, mate, because you're sitting there and you're saying you've got a plan for bench boost 11. I have no idea what your team looks like, mate. So for me to advise you differently when you might have something that's like, oh my God, this is going to land perfect, I'm not going to tell you not to do it, mate. Dara SOT says, hi James, I have Palmer and Sarr with 2 free transfers. Shall I start Palmer and sell Sarr for Semenyo? Bench Dewsbury Hall. So that's great cover. So yeah, that's what I'd advise. Sarr to Semenyo, Dewsbury Hall, great cover. It's perfect. Pushcar says, we are seeing a lot less template-like teams this season in the community. You think injuries have played a hand, price point, fixtures, or the extra chip seems quite enjoyable. Probably the relation to DEFCON. I have no idea what other people are doing with their teams, mate. Not remotely interested. And I don't have time, unfortunately, to watch the brilliant content creators that are out there. So I don't really know what they're discussing in terms of their teams and stuff. So if it's going in a different direction, great. You'd all be sitting here in game week 31 or so and going, oh, everyone's got the same team. It's the same every year. David Jones, Whiteway says, hi James, on wildcard, Dewsbury Hall for Gakpo or João Pedro to Foster. Burnley to bench boost game week 5. No, with Foster, I think he's done all right so far this season, but it's not impossible that Zian Fleming, now he's built up fitness, nicks his place. So I wouldn't be planning that route, mate, with Lyle Foster. Joe Finley Badder says, morning, James. Larson to Gyökeres worth a -4, or just play Josh King and do it for free next week, free hit 6. But if you wait for Gyökeres, why would you do it next week? Do you not come up with a different solution with Gyökeres walking into City and Newcastle? And if Larson's back fit next week, he's got Leeds, isn't he? Again, depends a lot on your rest of your team, Joe. I don't love that. I'd said this time last week I didn't love people buying Gyökeres last week, and I don't love people buying Gyökeres this week either. I think it's an assess over a couple of weeks and go and have a look again in 7. I would rather, for example, that you went and bought like Mateta or Muniz for a couple of weeks and just left the money. I'd probably prefer that as a -4. It's just go Mateta, mate. JP says, who shall sell first and to who out of the sells? Milenkovic now, Ange's in charge, plus the fixtures. Game week 7, mate. It's like smacking myself on the head, repetition. Paulie G says, morning, James. Appreciate, as always, the content. Start 2 from Rutter, Reinders and Wood. All on the bench in dilemmas, mate. Z says, hey James, my moves funnily get me the identical bench for game week 5 that you had on the weekender. I'm weighing up Paqueta versus King though. Any heavy bias towards one or the other? Yeah, King, use the money somewhere else. FPL Developer says, best option till game week 13, Gakpo, Semenyo, Paquetá or Xavi Simons. The safe answer there is Semenyo, mate. Tanky says, morning James, Strand Larson to Evan Nilsson or Strand Larson to Muniz and Barnes to Palmer. Anyone under 11.3, you can't be talking about going Barnes to Palmer now this week, surely. I don't know if you meant that the other way around, buddy. But I like the Muniz short-term punt, as I've said a few times. Evan Nilsson's fixtures are all right for a little while. Could even be subject to Ange at Forest. Could be that this looks great all the way up to sort of like game week 13 or so. So if you're looking longer term, Evan Nilsson, short-term Muniz. Anana's goalkeeping coach, I'm sorry for you. Any advice in terms of planning for those looking to wildcard in 6? Yeah, activate around about 11:15 or 11:45 next Saturday once the deadline's gone. Treble Man City. And pick 8 other shit starters and a few crap players on the bench. I'm not a fan of wildcard 6 because I think it's too early. For some of the teams that have really good swings afterwards. This is my personal opinion. So my only advice is good luck and play it your way. Frederick Hertz says Gakpo Verts to Salah for free or Murillo to Cucurella to use the money on Haaland before Burnley. I'm not going to tell anyone not to take the Haaland route because it's the sensible advice, mate. I'm not going to add anything else. Bobby says, hi James, Ekiteke versus Pedro versus Evan Nilsson as number 9 on free hit. For free hit, Ekiteke from that. Alex Trembath says, hi James, heard you say on your team news stream that the Manchester Derby won't be 0-0. Well, I'm doubling down and I have gone with the lit in my free hit team. 11-pointer incoming. Hashtag play it your way. Alex, I wish you the very, very best of luck. Binder won't keep clean sheet, mate. Prashan Hajani says, Watkins to Ekiteke this week due to the higher probability of covering the hit and protecting team value due to me having Allah and Howe team set up, Salah and Haaland. No, again, I wouldn't be selling Watkins at the moment. Been very clear on this. Murphy says, I've got several players that I'm keeping for good fixtures, then looking to bin after. But the runs all end at a similar time. Double Forest, double Villa, Verts. Am I better off wildcarding in 7-8? I mean, you might be, based on what you said there, buddy, but I can't see the rest of your team. The wildcards are circumstantial. It's like, at the start of the season, I could say to you, right, I think wildcard 13 is best, right? I've been really consistent on that. And I've also highlighted that part of my plan was navigating kind of the swings around Arsenal in 7 and Chelsea 9, where I knew there'd be kind of another group of people wildcarding between 6 and 9. And I knew there'd be the wave of now and earlier, right? and just navigating through that path, right? To now say to somebody who's asking in game week 4, what's the best week to wildcard? Fuck knows, mate. Depending on your team, innit? So you've been sitting there going, Treble Forest, right? Oh, it looks horrible this week. Right. How many of you, truthfully, think about this, how many of you stormed into Chris Wood last week, and I understand it, okay? Steamed into Chris Wood, and are now sitting there going, wish I didn't have him. You still got 2 brilliant fixtures after this week, okay? So sit tight in most scenarios, right? So like if you're stacked with Forest, wait a couple of weeks. They play one of the best teams this week and play one of the worst teams over the next 2 weeks. Sounds pretty good to me, personally. It's circumstantial, mate. AG29 says, hi James, I'm on wildcard 13, free hit 6. Need a SAR replacement. Already have Evan Nilsson, so not Semenyo. Get Paquetá or just play John Arias and roll. Get Semenyo, mate. I certainly would not be making that decision going, oh, I've got 2 Bournemouth attackers. Take both, mate. It's fine. Rick20 says, hi James, would you start Anderson or Dewsbury Hall? Anderson. Yeah, I think he'd every chance for Hall this week. That's what I'd be chasing on that. Every chance it'd be a 2-pointer, but I'd be chasing the could be a big one there. I know that's he'd be going in. Almost Seko says, got Ray and 8 Norrie, Ismail Assar, Larson, Gu, Bijot, 1 free transfer, 3.8 million in the bank. Reckon I can navigate this with a -4. Plan remains wildcard 13, but which 2 would you prioritise replacing? No, have Semenyo, so Sar is tough. Cheers. Okay, so you got a couple of defenderish, but I don't know if your back 3 looks good or not. I have no idea. 8 Norrie might look great for you again in a couple of weeks. Bijou, it's beginning to look off the table, isn't it? I would look at something like choose Larson and Gu as well. Yeah, I think Sar to King and move one of the forwards. I think move Gu in the first instance. I think it's going to be useless for you. It's just blocking your Chelsea players anyway. So I'd move Gu on. Alex Mewett says, hi James, due to the Larson injury, I'm now starting Wood this week. Would you sell Larson for any striker below 6.8 or just start Wood and roll? Start him and roll. It's fine, right? We don't think what the game couldn't end 3-1 today and Wood scores. It's fine, man. It's talisman. Alex, I've just done. Keelan says, hi James, struggling to get excited about Sar replacement. Yeah, we know. Have Semenyo. Rogers my fave, but would mean Dewsbury Hall would bench this week, which feels unnecessary. Should I hold or just go for it? I think go for it, personally. Yeah, I think go for it. We are half hour from deadline, by the way, guys. For our patrons watching along live, please drop me a tag on Slack if we've got any team news information. Obviously, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest is the early kickoff. I'm sure the people in the community here will very much appreciate it. Thank you very much for that, Fraz. Much appreciated. That's easy done. Here you go. Sorry for those who weren't seeing my correct score predictions. That'll rotate with the captaincy now. Thank you for pointing that out to me, mate. John Long, morning James. Would you replace a Dinger if you had him and no other fires? And if so, who with? I'm tempted by Elliot. Yeah, it's okay, but can't guarantee that starts either, so prefer King, mate. Pushkar says, do you think Fulkrug and 8 Norrie out for Lacroix and Mateta for a hit would be worth it for the next 2 game weeks? Yes. I mean, especially with 8 Norrie going to Arsenal, even if he's back next week. But I don't know what you've got in reserve, right? So that's also, I'm playing Dewsbury Hall instead. Right, okay, factor that sort of thing in. Fulkrug, by the way, could be fit. Daniel Mackey says, bear in mind that I can do the first 2 straight up. The other 2, I can't remember what that is, Daniel, so I wish you luck, mate. Daniel Evans says, what are your thoughts on Simmons as an FPL asset? Covered quite a bit on the weekender yesterday. If I was on wildcard, I'd probably punt him. But I'd go very, very safe elsewhere in my team. I'm certain it will get in the team. I just can't promise you that it will start today. I can't tell you if it'd be good or not from a fantasy perspective. No idea. But I don't mind it as... If you understand and know that it's a punt, cool. Mustafa Gaming says, good morning, James. Hope you have a great weekend. Wasn't happy with my team and activated my wildcard with the team you suggested. Will free hit game week 5. Play it your way, lads. That's interesting. Good luck. Michael Bianchi says, morning, James. I'm on free hit and already have Munoz. Would you go Richards or Senesi? Thanks. Just Richards. Hillbilly says, hey, James. Yoker is on Mateta to hold through game week 8 plus Mateta. Jason Stilling says Eze in for Rodgers. Wouldn't be doing that, mate. As covered on the weekend yesterday, I wouldn't even say Eze is a definitive starter, mate. I know Arsenal fans will want him to start today, and I know they will expect him to start. Go and listen to what I said about Arteta maybe having regrets if he didn't start Martinelli if Ange played an offensive team today. I don't think he will. And Arteta's read on that might be that Ange won't, and therefore Eze probably plays. Would not be surprised if Gabriel Martinelli starts for Arsenal today. Reese says, hi James. Porro and Munoz on wildcard Munoz at this stage, mate. And would you bench out centre side Dewsbury Hall? Both on the bench in dilemmas, mate. Jordan Williams says, wildcard question. Muniz and Salah or Ekiteke and Gakpo? The sensible answer here, Jordan, is to say Muniz and Salah and to set yourself up to go in Game Week 6. Muniz to Haaland and Salah down to Dewsbury Hall, King, Elliott, whatever. Matt Bryant says, hello mate, already done Sarr to King, also have Dewsbury Hall and playing him this week. Looking at bench boost 5, shall I get Semenyo in from this week from -4, smash it up here? What are you selling, Matt? I don't know what you're selling. I don't know if you mean to get him in full Dewsbury Hall. Probably wouldn't -4, mate. FPL MOTD says, on wildcard on my front three is Isak, Pedro, Ekiteke, captain. Start all three, Rodgers first bench. Here's an interesting thing with Isak. Doesn't start tomorrow, nearly certain of that. But what can Alexander Isak do in 20-25 minutes against one of the poorest teams in the league, particularly if Liverpool are comfortable in the game? I don't know. It's an interesting thought, right? Would you... I don't know the answer to this, like legitimately, because it's just coming to my head. But would you take Isak 20 minutes at Burnley versus, say, Brennan Johnson 60-65 at West Ham? Now, Johnson could score him, but maybe that's a bad example. Would you take that Isak 20 minutes over Dewsbury Hall 90 or so? You probably don't. I don't think. So it's probably Isak sub. I do think, and I don't want to tear up your wild card this late, but I think you're potentially walking into a problem there. And I think you would be better off going with another forward, leaving money in the bank, even if it's 4 million or so, and setting to go to Ekiteke to Isak when you're ready. Just give that a little bit of thought. Paige Turner says, morning James, how attacking is Josh King? Would you play him from -4 for Semenyo? Thanks, mate. Plays in the 10 position, mate. Many of you will have obviously seen the disallowed goal against Chelsea. The only concern is, does he definitively stay in the team? Now they've bought Kevin and Chukwueze. They don't play his position, but obviously others like Iwobi, Smith Rowe, Harry Wilson even can all play that position. So that's the only... His positioning is great, mate. It's just, will the minutes sustain? And with him, I think the worst case scenario is it doesn't. Okay, I've still got probably the best 4.5 midfielder who will tick over for little bits and minutes. So, fine. But I mean, I would not go... If I had Josh King this week, I would be perfectly comfortable with buying him. Let me tell you, I very nearly bought him this week, and it would have been to start him. Pushcast says, I see your Chelsea predicted team. Can you elaborate on what Maresca could do with his 11 with Bayern and Man United next? Lot of headaches as a Palmer and Guru owner. Yeah, essentially that Chelsea, I think the defensive line pretty much no. But the attacking four could be anything tonight. Yeah, don't know. Like, I've taken a punt that George will start. And I know he even had a bit of an injury issue during the under-21s period, but trained the last couple of days. I've taken a punt on Gitton starting as well. As I said, I think Goo could get some minutes tonight. None of that front four is going to surprise me when it drops for Chelsea this evening. I think it could be anything, mate. Luke Stevenson says, hi, James. On a free hit, who would you go with out of Timber and Barnes or Lacroix and Voltamade? On a free hit, I wouldn't go Timber, mate. So I want to say to you Harvey Barnes, but I wouldn't say Timber. Factor in, I've spoken about this a lot. I think they'll try and manage him better. They're playing Bilbao at 5:45 on Tuesday. Don't think you can rule out Ben White playing, mate. So I would say Barnes, but I wouldn't go Timber. The reason I'd say Barnes as well is I like three other forwards more than Voltamade, as a player I don't know that well personally. If you know him really well and you think, oh, he's going to bang, good luck. If you can put your hand on your heart and say that, go take that route, mate. Murray Mintz says, hi James, bench either Reinders or Fernandez. Both on the bench in dilemmas, mate. I'll presume that's Bruno Fernandes. Daniel Mackey says, bear in mind that I can do the first... Daniel, mate, I'm never going to remember questions from 10 minutes ago, mate. Good luck. Anish Nakara says, transfer Sarr for hit. Already upgraded Larson to Gyökeres. Have 0.5 million. Murillo, Estev, Gu on the bench. 3 hit, 6 wildcard, 13 plan. Who should I get? There's a lot going on beyond just who should I get for Sarr. I'm sure during the course of this stream you've heard some recommendations for Sarr replacements, mate. Chris Bruce says, already done Cunha to Semenyo, considering a -4 from Aït-Nouri to Munoz, or Bijot to Anderson. Obviously, first one sexier. Would have to play Williams against Arsenal. Otherwise, no 84-year-old calling me a pussy this week. That's a patron joke. Wouldn't tap -4 for a defender when I got to play in one, Chris. Williams very capable of defcons at Arsenal. It's a good ball winner. Hillbilly says Aït-Nouri or Estev out for Munoz if I can afford either. It feels like the simple solution here is to say to you Estev, but that's really dependent on your setup in future weeks of what you want to do with future transfers. Ultimately, that's your decider here, not the just versus. Cherie MC says, morning James, start Rodgers versus João Pedro. Thanks. No, I mean, I wouldn't be benching João Pedro. RBKK 2009. Afternoon, James. Cheers for great bit of content. 3 free transfers. Palmer and Watkins to Rangers and Robot or Roll for 4 free transfers next week. Roll. Yep. Anana's goalkeeping coach. If you still had Palmer, would you just keep now or still worth a free transfer? I'd probably keep. But I also accept that it's dependent. So I'd be looking at Dewsbury Hall first sub. Okay, that's all right. So I do accept there's a conditioning of what you've got behind. But I just think ultimately for many people, you might want to go back. And he looked quite happy in the training pictures I've seen from yesterday. So if he was still sitting there for me, I'd have probably just left it. Headley M says, hi James, thoughts on Tavernier versus King if you can't get Semenyo? I just think with Tavernier, I think he was the quietest of Bournemouth's attackers at White Hart Lane in Gameweek 3. I said that on the Gameweek Review pod afterwards. And there's such a threat there from Cliver and even Christie and Scott moving further forward. I wouldn't be going there. Hema Al-Ashri says, Agbadou and Cunha to Semenyo and Lacroix, or a 6.8 mid and Munoz, or play Agbadou and get Semenyo only strategies wildcard 13. Jesus, Hema, I just get Semenyo. Felt like I was reading that question like I was watching a tennis match, mate. Good luck. MJ says, start Wood or Anderson, Fulham. I probably would start Anderson. Pushkar says, another reminder to hit the likes. Yes, people, smash a like. It's about 25% of you have done that. Let's see if we've got anything coming in from our patrons in terms of team news. I think we might have something. Okay. Thank you for that, Jack. So a bit of an update on Ray and Aït-Nouri for a few who have been asking. Really appreciate that, Jack. Fabrizio Romano, I'm just going to check that it's the main man himself, you know. Yeah, we go. He's apparently said somewhere that Aït-Nouri's out for 5 weeks. He has said that, yeah. He tweeted it a couple of hours ago. Ray and Aït-Nouri out for 5 weeks with an ankle injury. So for those who are asking, yeah, bomb squad, sell that. Nothing on Arsenal, not in the Forest in terms of team news, as far as I am aware at the moment. Again, thanks for that, Jack. Shout us if we've got anything, please, patrons. The tag is good for me because I ain't got time to read all the messages. Tony Senior says, good morning, James. My 3 hit back 5 are all from different teams individually. They're all good picks. But do you think I should just double up on 2 teams? Have a listen to my discussion on my draft on the weekender yesterday. That's the best advice I can give you. Get off this stream and watch. It's timestamps. Have a watch of my 3 hit draft yesterday. Jonathan says, hi mate, I'm currently on 3 hit. For context, I've got Salah, Madueke and Ekiteke. Would you go Gyökeres and Barnes or Gakpo and Voltemade? Gakpo. Stefan P says, hello James, I'm on 2 free transfers and the path to get Haaland in game week 6, 2 moves. Would you do Fulkrug to Muniz now and reassess the Haaland move later or stick to the plan? I think there would be enough upside in Muniz over Fulkrug over the next 2 weeks to say, yeah, do it, personally. But I can't see the whole plan, Stefan. What's the impact of that move? Are you stuck? Does it mean it's then a -4 for Haaland? Those are little bits I can't answer, right? But on the face of it, I'm going to say yes. Andrew Sands says, loved episode 3 of Dad. Thank you, mate. With 1 million ranked 50 points lower than last season, if the 3 obvious captain picks in the next 3 games don't deliver, could we see movement to no premium teams? Love you. Of course, mate, because people chase points. And if the big boys aren't proving value for money, then it moves. And then you know what will happen then, don't you? Oh my God, Isak and Haaland are going mental, and Watkins going mental, Salah and Palmer, Saka, and all going, it will go the other way. Yeah. Just a note. Template moves. Off the biscuits is hi James. What would be your team on free hit? Thoughts on NUFC attackers, Iwobi and Arsenal attack? Again, it's literally timestamped on the weekender from yesterday. I talked through what a free hit draft would be. That's going to be much better than be not answering other people's questions. So if you want a free hit draft, please leave the stream. Smash a like, leave the stream. It's timestamped. Go to the weekender yesterday and watch my discussion about free hits there, and you get an alternative perspective from David as well. Rumblefish says we need to talk about Kevin. We don't know enough about him yet. Daz F90 says, morning James, on wildcard, would you go for Gyökeres and Lacroix or João Pedro and Gabriel? João Pedro and Gabriel. Hello Rob, hope you're well. Avinash says, got just 1 Liverpool asset, Gakpo. Should I do Sartor Verts for a -4? No. To be honest, I've got Verts. I would not be buying him at the moment, personally. And I think it's a good example of want versus need. I had a discussion with a few advanced tier patrons yesterday on the Team News stream. It was in relation to Daniel Munoz, actually. It's like, oh, I want more Liverpool. Okay, do you need it? If so, why? Do you actually like what you need? Nah, it's not for me. I think those who've got Verts like me is sit. I wouldn't be buying him at the moment, personally. Berticus says, hey, James, 1 free transfer. Would you sell Bruno for either Gakpo or Semenyo for the next 5-6 games with Joss Roll? Also risk and die or play Mincer. Thank you, mate. Would probably play Mincer. Buying Gakpo, if I didn't own, would have been first choice for me this week, if I could have got there. Whether I'd sell Bruno to Gakpo might be a little bit dependent on what your plan is for 6 and 7. So if your plan includes Haaland, then there's more encouragement in selling Fernandes. If you're not, then Fernandes does act as a backup captaincy option for those 2 weeks, I think. Sebo Slices, start with Wood or João Pedro on wildcard. João Pedro, mate. Abel Hamid says, planning free hit 6, debating Murillo to Tarkovsky or Gabriel or Ndiaye to Gakpo, have 1-3. So this one, if you're free hitting 6, then I would do Murillo to Gabriel now. Yeah, I think that's different. I discussed this on my Ask James stream on Thursday. Like specific, if you're free hitting in 6, the appeal of those 5-6 fixtures for Forest is not the same. And you're also missing Arsenal away to Newcastle. So under that circumstance, I would just go to Gabriel now. Joel Melkerson says, hi James, love the content. Currently have 3 Nottingham Forest assets, Murillo, Anderson, Wood. Would you be moving any this week? I'm thinking of Woods to Mateta. So this is exactly what I just spoke about how do you feel? So I don't know if you bought Wood last week, right? But a lot of people bought Wood last week, didn't work, right? How are you going to feel? You go Wood to Mateta blanks, and then you've got Wood playing Burnley and Sunderland. Like, don't get me wrong, Mateta is a way better choice for this week. And he's probably a better choice over the next 3 combined over Wood as well. But would I be rushing to make that move at this moment? No. I'd at least taken the information of the Burnley game. And if I felt comfortable that he was starting against Sunderland, he wouldn't be going then either. Unless he was an obvious fall guy for Haaland. Rob Pick says, hi mate, start Diouf and Porro or move Estev to a second Palace defender for free. And bench one of them. If so, which Palace defender? Already own Munoz. And which of Diouf Porro would you bench? I mean, I'd play Porro over Diouf. It's just slightly more avenues to points. Probably both get nothing today, by the way, Rob. But I don't think I would force the second Palace defender in for either of them. I think just suck it out. It's like me with Consta this week. It's shit, isn't it, Rob? But is it worth the transfer? My aggro? Nah. Etnic says, hello James, what would you do with Frimpong? If he's out, it would mean playing either Rodon or Nico Williams. Thank you. Probably would go Rodon over Williams this week. Which isn't the worst thing. It's not the best thing. Again, how useful is Williams to you over the next couple? It's the same thing really as the Mateta Wood debate. So I'm playing it your way. Snicko says, hey James, keen on the punt as the Sarr replacement for the next 4 weeks. Thoughts on Elliot, Pino or Xavi Simmons? All of them are exactly that. I have all three of them predicted to start this week, but they are all in that punt element territory. Particularly, I think, interestingly with Elliot, because we can't even be that sure where he's going to play. Is he visioned as a 10? Is he going to be right? Who comes off the left? Like, I want to see it, right? What's his relationship with... I think his relationship with Watkins will be very good. What's his relationship with fullbacks, with Rodgers? Pino is going to take on a lot of the kind of the Eze mantle, but they're missing the pacing behind of Sarr. And also, who's going to give him the ball with Adam Wharton not playing? Simmons could be gold, could be shit. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. Out of that lot, as covered yesterday, I'd probably go Simmons. Lemon says, hi James, bench one of Van Dijk, Porro, Truffer. Other defenders, Nico Williams and Munoz, Truffer. Owen O'Donovan says, hi James, thinking of Lacroix in for Williams this week. Not confident the Forest defence, already have sales. Thanks, yeah. I think you got the idea from other answers, surely. Good luck, mate. Cameron says, morning James, you reckon Gyökeres is a good long-term pit? Hit the like and subscribe, guys. Ask me in Gameweek 7 and I'll tell you. Depends if I buy him or not. yeah, I ain't sharing that. It's not Team Lose related, by the way. It's just you can all have a look at FPL newsletters, tweet if you want. It's not about players starting or anything. It's about something in the game. I'm not saying it out loud because I don't want to lead anyone down that path. But yeah, wouldn't surprise me. We know what they're like, right? Cole, there are no Newcastle ITKs. Never trust the team league. Look, Ross was really confident, FPL Raptor, when he tweeted last night, and there was a second report that came to me that suggested that was correct. There's now the report of a different team that was going around this morning, and I've had backup that that's also correct. So I imagine Newcastle might even be trying to flush something out here. Yeah, could be. Homegrown FPL says, good morning, James. Play Palmer on diet. I do have cover on the bench for both. If I've got Cole Palmer, I'm sticking him in my team. Unless I've got an amazing first sub. Because still Cole Palmer. Matthew Hall says, bench order of Gu and Murillo. I'd play Murillo. I don't think Gu will start. And Murillo could lose 2-0 today and walk out with a 3-pointer. And Gu's going to really struggle to hit that unless he starts. And he'll struggle to hit that anyway. Let's think about it with Gu. What sort of minutes do you have with Sunderland? Came out from the Club World Cup, bit disrupted. Wasn't he hanging about in Barcelona before he went to Sunderland? Next up is Pranjol says, whom to bench, Rutter or Chris Wood? Both on the bench in dilemmas. Alexander. Oh, shit. Sorry, Alexander. I've lost... for those who haven't put questions in, you've got absolutely no chance. We are 10 minutes from deadline, guys. Alexander, I've found you, mate. Hi, James. Start Sells of a Bruggen. I know, horrible goalkeepers. Start one of Wood, Sarr or VDV. Good luck for the game week. Smash the like, people. I definitely wouldn't be benching Van Dijk this week. No. And I would play Wood over Sarr, mate. I would start Verbruggen over Sells, but I don't think he'll out, mate. Voyas Verta says, didn't see it on the bench in dilemma. Start Anderson or Konsa. Anderson, comfortably. If I had multiple free transfers in the back, I'd probably be going Anderson instead of Konsa if I had like 5 frees or something. Varun says, do I need to sell Sarr? Need him to start this week? If yes, to whom? I have only 1 free transfer and 0.5 in the bank. Had Palmer also in my starting 11, but didn't want to take a hit. So what I can tell you about Sarr is he'll definitely get some minutes. FPL Raptor has updated the information he had, by the way. Thank you, Alex, saying that Fabian Schär does start for Newcastle for those who are on free hit. What was the bloody question? Do you need Sarr? So I've got my predicted lineup. My inkling is that Bentancur might not start today. Played heavy minutes for Uruguay, and then obviously we've got a big game on Tuesday. So I think Sarr might play a deeper role alongside Paulinho today. I don't think he's part of Tottenham's best 11 moving forward, as I covered on Monday's podcast. But what I can definitely tell you is he won't be a 0-pointer today. Like, your worst case scenario is he'll come off the bench, mate. And there's every chance, if he doesn't start, by the way, that it will come on for Simmons in the 10 position. It's quite possible. Next up is Colin. Play Contra Wood. I'll be playing Wood, mate. Mo B, Gyökeres and Brooks, or Mateta and Madueke / Barnes. Yeah, it wouldn't be Gyökeres and Brooks, mate, moving forward. But I don't know if this is free hit or what this is, mate. Sebo Slices, start with Real, Petrovic and Wildcard. I'd be going Petrovic and using my Arsenal money somewhere else. Daniel Regiensky says, hi James, Wildcard 4 draft with Haaland, Harvey Elliott and Muniz, or Mateta, Bruno Fernandes and mid up to 6.5. Bench boost 7 the plan. No Haaland path does not have transfer in before game week 8. I mean, if you don't get him in for 6, you ain't getting him in, mate. The safe answer for me here is to tell you, Daniel, to put Haaland in. That's the safe answer. Gareth James says, found out this week I was being made redundant. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Your streams and pod help to keep me sane. Wildcard and FPL and my job. Onwards and upwards. Hit the like, guys. Thanks, Jimbo. Thank you, Gareth. DM's open, mate. You need anything, you drop me a shout, pal. Good luck, pal. Peter says, hi, James. Good luck this week. I'm feeling like the triple captain this week. Would Salah's likely high EO over Haaland have any effect on your decision if you were on triple captain, or none at all? Cheers. None at all. I'm not looking around, mate. I've not been looking at price changes. My team value is awful. It's probably under 100 million. Very content this year. Feel very, very relaxed about FPL. I'm not stressing about EO. I mean, I just personally don't know why you would triple captain Salah this week when he's got game Sunday, game Wednesday, game Saturday lunchtime, when the rotation, the day rotation around Haaland in 6 is so much better. I just don't know why you would do that, personally. Salah, best captain this week, not questioning it at all. I just wouldn't be going triple captain on him this week, personally. Hi James, Mateta, Munoz, Semenyo, in for Gu, Palmer, Nori, and we'll be playing bench boost 5 with 3 Nottingham Forest, 2 Palace, 3 Bournemouth, 2 Liverpool. Jesus, mate. Rutter, Watkins, just can you imagine what this is like to read out? What do you think of the bench boost? I've no idea, mate. I just want to say good luck. No idea. It's too much there for me to read and process. I'm not the brightest tool, mate, but I am good at maths. Owen Jones says, so's my son. Owen Jones says, hey James, 2 free transfers and want Salah to attack Burnley, Everton. Do you like Haaland, Dewsbury Hall, Salah, Mateta for 2 weeks and Haaland back in 6? PS to all the Verts backers, hold the line, the points are coming. Owen, it's 4 transfers. Think about that logically. You want to go from Haaland to Salah now and back in 6. It's 4 transfers. Right, you got the best team in the world, Owen. You're really happy with all the rest of your squad moving forward and etc. etc. You do it, mate. Crack on. But I would not be going Haaland to Salah at this point with that in mind. Personally, it's too much. How much to ask yourself this? To make those 4 transfers worthwhile, how much more does Salah have to outscore Haaland and the other transfer that you do to make that all worthwhile? Wouldn't be doing it, mate. Mikey Austin Riley says, is it lunacy to bring in Isak on a wild card to beat price changes? And also he could come on for 20 minutes and score. Right, Mikey, the price changes work on returns at this stage of the season. Isak is not going to get steamed into for next week when he plays 20 minutes tomorrow. He's more likely to continue to fall in price. Because those who do it, imagine you do it and you've done 20 minutes and you're sitting at this time next week, whoa, is he going to start again? And then the fixtures are tougher, right? Palace away, Chelsea away. It's no reason to rush everyone from a price change perspective, mate. Zubin says, hey, James, looking to replace 8 Nori, Cucurella or Sene? I presume it's meant to be Senna, so Cucurella is the sensible answer here, I think. Boshan says, morning from US of A. James, hope all is well. Thoughts on this? Sarter, Simmons or Paquetá, which do you prefer? Simmons, clearly from that. Dave said on the weekend yesterday, I have no injuries yet. So yeah, he's got 2 now. Welcome to Planet FPL, you prick. Zoom I've done. Voshan, I've done. FPL match of the day. Eze or Madueke. I'm really not convinced Eze will play. Madueke is also walking into a problem when Saka is back. Right, I just wouldn't be bothering. I'd be looking at a different team, mate. Josh Tellin says, morning, James. Hope you and the family are well, mate. No questions here. Just wishing the boys good luck in the Planet FPL derby. Thank you, mate. Patrons, last shout. If you've got any info coming around, particularly on obviously the Arsenal and Nottingham Forest lineups, we are circa 2-3 minutes away from deadline. Giannis Soft One says your predicted scores are not showing up. They are now, mate. Wish you luck. Carl Valencia says, does Xavi Simons start in your opinion? Yep. Teams rotating for all 20 teams in the bottom right hand corner, mate. Confidence on that is about 70%. It's not high. Alma Seca says got 8 Norrie, Saar, Larson, Goo, Bijot. I feel like I've done this, mate. Plus you tweet me a question on Blue Sky like twice every week. Yeah, take a -4, mate, and crack on. United Lay says, James, I have to bench 2 or 3 Forest, Wood, Williams, Anderson. Which one should I play the forward, mate? FPL developer, Cunha issue. So I'll keep and hoping back in a few weeks. Depends on your rest of your squad. What I'd say on Cunha, I had this discussion on differential show with Suggesty. If you could manage it, he might be a brilliant little option for game week 6 and 7. I took on face value the fact Amram said Cunha was like, I want to play. Yeah, maybe he does want to play, but maybe he's not even back for next week. Maybe he's not back for 6. I think it depends on the rest of your team. In most cases, it will unfortunately be a sell. Shane Kelly says, well, mate, first ever question. Tarkovsky or Konsa? I have Watkins and Rogers as well, so should it be treble Villa? Tarkovsky, mate. Tarkovsky, it's a home. If I said to you now, one in player is going to get 17 points this week, which one is it? I can tell you now, it ain't Konsa. It could be Tarkovsky. Sigurd F says, Calafiori worth it. Too much for a risk, in my opinion, personally. Wouldn't be going there. Don't even think it's a certain starter this week. Again, as covered on the weekend yesterday. Frederick Hertz, why don't you fancy Elanga to start? Because the rumoured team going around doesn't have him in it. That's the rumoured team that was going around last night. Now, no, Rossi's had him in it. The one that was going around this morning didn't. So there's enough risk there, right? Chris W says, thoughts with Trippier, not a long-term hold. Free hit, fine. Would choose other players personally. 1 minute to deadline, guys. Yeah, got it, Dave. Joshua says, is Bruno such a look on wildcard? Bruno and King or Rogers, Dewsbury Hall, Grealish? I'd rather leave some money in the bank, I think. A says, hey James, start King, Paqueta or Reinders, Paqueta, Pens. You dirty slot says, play Reinders or Bruno. Rick FPL fan says, hi James, João Pedro or Gyökeres on free hit, considering the EO for João Pedro. Nothing to do with EO, mate. Gyökeres is the safer pick there, mate. It's a safer pick from minutes. We can't be certain of I think João Pedro will start. We can't be certain of it. Ken Hughes says, hi James, for 1 week punt, which midfielder in Newcastle Palace Tottenham would you choose? Thanks. 1 week, Barnes. Taylor Bernard says, hi James, good luck this week. Due to injuries, I have 2 Forest defenders and Anderson. Worth going Sard, Semenyo or Gakpo from -4 or just leave it. I'm going to say just leave it. And you've all got to leave it now because it is 11 a.m. UK time. Sorry to those of you whose questions I didn't get to. That is a lot of you. I wish you the very best of luck for the weekend. If you came just for the FPL stuff, smash a like, hit the sub button. Thank you for supporting and contributing to the chat. It does help, even if I didn't get to your question. I am sorry. Just had 99 questions on Nottingham Forest players and Ismail Assar, which I expected this week and is fine. Before you go, smash a like, hit the sub button. For those who got non-FPL questions, throw them in the chat. I'll cover them off 15 minutes or so till the Arsenal Nottingham Forest lineup comes out. Let me tell you about content next week. Game review podcast, myself and Suj on Monday. Tuesday is Clash of Correspondence, Wolves versus Leeds with Bradley Parker and Ed Salinger. And those two actually sit top of my ticker for the next 5 game weeks now that this deadline has gone. So it could be quite an interesting one for those who are looking for an enabler to dive into potentially. Hopefully Bradley's got some Larson information for us as well. Wednesday, Mark Summers coming up. Talk about Forest and Nuno and Ange and give the Forest view on that. Thursday, Ash James, scheduled for 12 p.m. UK time. David will be back with me for the weekend and next Friday. Deadline stream next Saturday. I can't promise you it's going to happen, but I have a plan that I think can make work. And it pretty much comes down to me going into the office, actually. What I can definitely say is if I do it, it will end at 11 o'clock, bang, and I will be out the door because I'm going to Brighton next Saturday for Super Spurs. I think if I can get a train at 20 past 11, I think I can get to Brighton in under 2 hours. So that's my intention. Therefore, if I lock the stream at 11 o'clock, I can just about do it. I think I'd need to be out of that door within 5 minutes or so. So the intention is to do it, but I'm not going to promise that I'm going to do the deadline stream next week. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Q&A this week on Monday is the pod. UCL Fantasy, myself and David with the final drafts on Tuesday. We're also going to open it up to basic tier patrons as well. The pods are normally available from intermediate tier. Wednesday will be Tottenham reacting to the Planet FPL Derby today, and Tottenham's Champions League open on Tuesday night. Money in Football Thursday, and our Gameweek 5 preview podcast, the differential show, on Friday. There'll be plenty more at advanced tier as well, including a Zoom call where patrons can come and just have a chat with me and fellow patrons. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. And as mentioned a couple of times on this stream, the Being Dad from this Thursday and the previous two from the previous 2 last years available for free members, so you can sign up, you don't have to pay. Those podcasts are available for you. There's other stuff in the back catalogue for free members that's available all the time. That includes the best bits every Friday as well, which was published yesterday, so it gives you a flavour of some of our content on Patreon across the week. www.patreon.com/planetfpl if you want to support the show, and if you can't, I raise a glass to you still. I still love you. Right, so let's do some non-FPL for 10 minutes or so. Adam, quick non-FPL question, James. What's the worst football take you've ever had? Like if you thought a player would never amount to anything and end up a world beater or something. Great question, and I'll happily answer it. There's players you agree on and there's players you don't, right? Even like as a fan. So I give you a couple of examples where I was always pretty convinced that there was a player in there. Couple of Tottenham examples that went well for me. Teddy Sheringham did not start well when he got to Tottenham. In fact, my dad couldn't stand him. By the end of that year, he'd ended up winning the Golden Boot because he went mental from like Christmas onwards. So Teddy obviously went on to have a great career. Gareth Bale. I still remember being at League Cup final in 2009 and obviously kind of exploded like a year later. And being so pissed off that we didn't get him on a pitch when it was so there for us to play United on the counter attack. It was like, get him on the pitch, man. Let him loose. I didn't think Bale would go on to the level that he did. And Dembele's another one. What a player. I'd tell you one I'd happily say that I got very, very wrong was Modric. I just thought he would just not be strong enough. Really didn't. And I've told this story before. I think a lot of what happened for Modric, it's inevitable he'd have got to the top anyway. But how he did in the last couple of years for Tottenham and then at Madrid might not have developed in quite the same way if Wilson Palacios hadn't got booked in a ridiculous FA Cup semi-final defeat to Portsmouth. Harry Redknapp had no choice to put him in midfield, with Jermaine Genius also injured, with Tom Huddleston for games against Arsenal and Chelsea, and it was like he'd be too lightweight, he won't be able to do it. And we won both games 2-1, and he never played anywhere else ever again afterwards. So sometimes these things happen by accident. Redknapp's one, and he was like, "Oh, it was always my intention to play in midfield." Nah, mate. Like Bale as well. Oh yeah, I remember coming out of Stoke. You remember the goal Bale scored where it was like he hit it at like shoulder height. I was at Stoke, getting back in the car, and by this point Bale was really kicking into okay, there's a potential beast here. Like the 2 Inter Milan games were a couple of months later. We're getting back in the car, and Redknapp said, "Yeah, he's doing well there, but I still see his long-term future at left back." And then if you listen to Redknapp talk about Bale now, he'd be like, "Yeah, I knew it was going to be as a forward." No, you didn't, mate. Stop bullshitting. The Modric was one I got badly wrong. Badly wrong. I just didn't think he'd have the physicality for it. I also felt that if he was going to play central, he'd have to do it as a 10. I didn't think he scored enough goals to contribute to that. So Modric would be the one I got the most wrong, I think. Yeah, good question. Like that. There are others I got wrong. That's the standout one, I think. Sean G says, "Hi, Marcus Edwards. Don't get me started." Sean G says, "Hi, James. Thinking of Brennan Johnson for Cloud FF. Do you think he's a good option?" No. No, I don't know why you consider a player that's a clear rotation risk for that format. Colin Johnson up the Spurs. Thank you, mate. Gavin Richardson says, non-FPL, have you ever eaten haggis or black pudding? If so, what do you think of it? If I've eaten haggis, it's been drunk. No, sorry, that didn't come out well. It's not been drunk, as in I've been drunk at the time. Black pudding, yeah, plenty of times, yeah. Oh, bullshit. Sorry, I know that's going to really upset some people. Like, I'll eat it, I don't hate it. It's fucking bullshit, mate. Matt Quayle says, do you think Skelly and Nwaneri will ultimately look to move on? Nwaneri looks blocked by others and Arsenal keep buying defenders. Me and Suj mentioned it on the Game3 review pod, I think. Forgive me, it might have been on the Patreon Q&A instead. How interesting, it was only for a fleeting few minutes, the fact that Dalman came on rather than Nwaneri really late at the game at Liverpool. I thought that was really interesting. I don't know what that speaks of or tells us, actually. I have no idea. For Lewis Skelly, I mean, and also for Nwaneri, let's kind of remember, I mean, Nwaneri has not got to the level we'd say he's ever been first choice. So he's still trying to become it. And Lewis Skelly obviously had a great, I don't know, let's say second half of last season where he regularly played and solidified his place. And now Calafiori seems to be playing a bit more. Lewis Skelly still played for England last weekend. Still young players. Listen, there are so many players who have moved clubs over the last couple of years, really young age, and a lot of it's to do with PSR and ruling and stuff, and been big mistake transfers for the player. I don't think that those players should be rushing to move from that football club despite my dislike of them. Greg says, hoping for some predictable outcomes this way. I'm not. Salah blank would be a good start. Thomas Power says, hi James, for my triathlon season next year, I want to have some of my favourite creators on my tri suit, not looking for sponsorship, just a bit of fun. Do you have an email I could send a request to? Yes, it's in the bio, I'm pretty sure. I think so. Maybe it's not. DM me and I'll give you a personal one, mate. Although I have no idea, Thomas, what a tri suit is. I don't know what that is. So yeah, email, DM me and I'll sort you out, Thomas. No problem at all. We'll have a look. I mean, I'll try anything, right? I just might not be physically able if it's a physical thing. Andrew Jarvis says, hey mate, non-FPL, loved being dad free. Your openness and honesty is very touching. Harry the Maths Wiz, do you think you'll inherit your FPL skills? I mean, I think that the key thing here to say is, do I have any FPL skills? Right? That some would very much debate that. Who knows? Who knows, Andrew? Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. He's got to have an interest in football, isn't he? FPL Copian says, this is a non-FPL question. You are the Messi of FPL content creators, but how do I access your podcast on Being Dad without being a patron? So you do have to sign up to be a patron, but you can sign up as a free member. You don't have to pay me a penny. So it's pretty much just sign up, put an email address in. That's all you have to do. You don't do shit else. And you can listen to it. What I recommend, though, is please listen to the first two before you listen to the third one. So have a little binge of it this week, because there's a lot of stuff in the third one does need the context of the first 2 years. And I don't just want to repeat myself. So yeah, just sign up Patreon, free member. The links for 1 and 2 are in the bio for the third one. Elron Cupboard says, is my boy at Maxence Lacroix the best defender in the game? We don't do FPL questions now, so I would say he's probably not the best defender in the world at the moment. Pushcar says, did you see UEFA's rejection request by various leagues to play games in Middle East, USA, Australia, etc.? For as a game going forward fan, let clubs go global occasionally. So, for me, good news. Football clubs, we're very different. Our game is very different to a bastion of, say, NFL and stuff like that, right? And other leagues are different, right? Within certain leagues, you've got things like Red Bull Leipzig, right? How much does that kind of feel like it belongs to a community of people in Leipzig? I don't know. I haven't been there. Or Salzburg.
But I think football clubs, certainly in this country, have such a role within their communities. Even the big clubs. I mean this. Tottenham Hotspur is called Tottenham Hotspur. Should play home games in Tottenham. I played them in Wembley for 20 odd months, and that was bad enough. There was no choice. And Chelsea eventually might find with Stamford Bridge they have to play have a similar problem if they ever get round to doing it. Although Chelsea playing Fulham anyway, slightly different. Football teams should play home games at home stadiums. Even consider the imbalance of. We did this on one of our Money in Football podcasts. Villarreal want to play Barcelona in Miami in December. Right, clearly now that's not going to happen because the next time that UEFA are meeting is in December. So they ain't going to get like the thumbs up for it before then. Okay. They want to play each other in Miami. Okay. It's a home game for Villarreal. You think it's now a home game for Villarreal? Well, no, it's a home game for Barcelona, isn't it? Let's be honest. There'd be so many Barcelona fans there in comparison. So it's a home setting for Barcelona. Barcelona wouldn't have to play on Villarreal's pitch or play at El Madrigal or whatever, but Real Madrid have got to still go and play there. Hang on, just from a competitive standpoint, this is so wrong. This is wrong. So Real Madrid would have to play Villarreal away when Barcelona wouldn't. Imagine that. Imagine that here if I said to you, battle for relegation, just hypothetically, right? And Leeds have got to go and play at Newcastle, but Sunderland don't. Really bad example because I'm sure Newcastle Sunderland definitely wouldn't move. But you get my point, right? It's not even competitive balance. It's just so wrong on so many levels. The clubs go all around the world every summer. Keep going around the world every summer. It's great. Make your money there. I've seen reports overnight of Manchester United considering organising friendlies now they've gone out the Carabao Cup to make some money. That's what they want to do. Fine. Don't moan about being fatigued, right? But they'll want to make up a shortfall of money. I get it. So, look, I absolutely am all for taking football around the world. You want to take the Community Shield to Japan or America or Australia? No probs. Take that game. We'll take any game between June and July away from my locality. You can have all of it. Do what you want with it. Now, August to May, football should be played domestically. And I have very strong views on that. It will not happen here. I'm telling you. The fans here, whoever goes first on that, someone will try it. The reaction will be similar to Super League stuff. Not quite to the same extent, but because it's just one individual set of fans. They will not have it. Anybody who accepts it, you need to not be accepting it. It's not on. Won't happen. So Italy, Spain, all that, where the culture's not quite the same, etc. in terms of like away fans travelling. They feel like they're behind the Premier League. They need to do things to catch up. But they do. It's up to them. I cannot foresee a Premier League football match being played outside of England. Unless we let Wrexham in, which might happen soon. Theo2303, confident for the game. James Potter got himself some time with that win against Forest. No, not particularly, Theo, but not unconfident either. Just ultimately, too many question marks on the two teams' lineups. So, I mean, if you ask me when the teams come out, I'll probably be able to say, yeah, I feel confident or not. I think the prediction for draw is probably about right as it stands. Let's have a look at these Arsenal and Forest teams. I'm sure are probably in by now, and then I'll cover off a few more questions. Okay, so Mark's saying Rice on the bench, Trini, Eze starts. Vindaloo, you will have the last comment, so I'm not going to cover off any more comments after that. Teams. Thanks, social media. You're working an absolute blinder for me. The Arsenal team is Raya, Timber, Mosquera, Gabriel, Calafiori, Zubimendi, Marino, Odegaard, Madueke, Eze, and Gyökeres. Rice is on the bench. William Saliba is not. Hincapi is on the bench. Strong bench for Arsenal. Yeah, fair enough. Forest is Morato plays. What are they going to do with that? Could they even play Murillo left back? I suppose Morato just plays right back. Otherwise, it's what we expected. Intrigued to see it, let's say. Intrigued to see it. She's got a strong bench for us. Bandy Maggi. I put Goma in worth a punt for. Right, good luck. Thomas Thornton. Who is your favourite Brazilian, Italian, and Spaniard? Favourite Brazilian would be Aurelio Gomez. Favourite Italian would be Nicola Berti. And favourite Spaniard would be Xavi Simmons. No, favourite Spaniard. We've not had too many, I don't think. They've mostly been shit, actually. Trying to struggle, actually. Roberto Soldado, maybe. We've not had many from those three nations, actually. Certainly not ones that have done very well, actually. Pushkar says, what should have England done differently with a golden team in the late zeros, early 2010s? Such superstars with zero chemistry could have won a trophy if they were managed better. I wouldn't put 2010 in that category. The 2004 team, particularly. But that's it. If they won the penalty shootout against Portugal, I think they would have won the Euros. I think they'd have won it. Even with Rooney injured. 06 would have helped if Ericsson took another fucking centre forward, wouldn't it? Owen got injured, Rooney weren't fit. I'll take a 16-year-old just for jokes. Just take 3 9s. You end up just with Crouch, who's obviously got a skill set, but no other skill set. That would have helped. They didn't like each other, ultimately. Most of them didn't get on. You only have to listen to the players talk about it. So I do think the 04 team was very close, though. I do think if it had won that shootout, it would have won. It would have beat the Netherlands and Greece. Not to say take Greece for granted, but you'd have fancied it, wouldn't you? Jay Barker says, I've gone for Palace on my last man standing. Now I'm worried with seeing your prediction. Can you change your mind so my mind is at ease? Thank you. I'm not going to change it now, am I, Joe? I wish you luck. Look, I'm probably the only person that you will see predicting Crystal Palace not to win this weekend. Elron Cupboard says, first time watching Ledley King. Couldn't say factually, but it would definitely have been for the youth team. I used to watch the youth team quite a bit in the 90s. Go to many games. I mean, Dad used to go. But otherwise, competitively, away to Derby, first league start. It's also within 2 minutes, he got the knee injury that hampered him his whole career. He was still man of the match. We never saw him again for 6 months. Brilliant. Brilliant. One of them is like, I don't know how to relate to Pete how good he was. Like, if Ledley hadn't had the injuries, he wouldn't, my club, my one night, he wouldn't have stayed at Tottenham. It's too good. He'd have played for anybody. Jonathan says, speaking of bad football takes, I was questioning why you spent 39 million on Mo Salah a few years ago. 39 million. Oh, why we spent. Oh, yeah, Liverpool. Yeah, sorry. I've read that as an FPL question for some reason. Sorry. Yeah, we've been there, haven't we? We've all been there, been like, don't like us. I mean, I've even said, I've got reservations about the Simmons signing. Like, I've never been truly convinced on him. I hope to God that I'm sitting here on Monday morning and I go, oh, wow. That's what I'm really hoping. But I've not been high on him. So we'll see. Tom Reynolds says, hey, James, no question. Just land in Tokyo and listen to Being Dad and wait here. Great to hear your updates. Lots of what you said resonated with me as a dad of a young boy as a husband. Thanks. You're very welcome, mate. Mark says, do you think any current Premier League players could be reasonably successful in a player manager role? I don't think we'll ever see player manager roles again unless they're on an interim period. No, the days of Dalglish's and Vialis and Hullets, and it's too much now. Too much now to be both. You could definitely get scenarios where, let's give you an example. I don't know. Brentford sacked Keith Andrews with 3 games to go and Jordan Henderson is interim player manager for the rest of the season. Okay, yeah. But no, I think now it's impossible. I would actually say it's impossible. Ben Hardaway says, "Hi James, hope you're well. What's your favourite sport, barring footy? Have a good weekend and good luck tonight." Soccer, mate. No, I've not. I get asked this question a lot, and I'm kind of a glory hunter with other sports. So I'm interested in snooker when the Worlds are on. I'm interested in darts when the Worlds are on. I'm interested in the egg chasing when it's the World Cup. I'm interested in cricket when it's the one day final or something, or I'll take notice of the Ashes. Yeah, I'm very much like that with other sports. But there isn't anything else sport wise that I feel like, oh God, I missed that, or wouldn't give a shit, mate. Ben says, "Hi James, hope you're well. What's your?" That's what I've done. Greg says, "Are you going to tune into FPL Black Box tonight on the Mash of the Day challenge?" Probably not. No disrespect to the guys, wish them very well. But I'll be coming back from West Ham, and subject to what time I get back, watch Brentford Chelsea, need to catch up with the highlights from the 3:00 games. So way more important, don't mean horribly, way more important for me to watch the games and catch up, because so much of my day is around Tottenham today. You want a good podcast on Monday or not? You ain't watching other content. It's me watching games. Vindaloo says, "Not a question, just a mention for Spurs old boy Ryan Mason, who's brought optimism back to the Hawthorns. Cheers for the content." Very pleased to hear that. Sujazin says, "What time's the deadline?" As Peter, he thinks he's funny. You should try the fucking comedy, boss, honestly. Jimbo 3K, think teams might do midweek friendlies, especially those not in Europe. Man United versus AC Man, for example. Yeah, can see that. And again, it's fine. Organise your friendly. Cool. Mustafa Gaming, thank you. Nasir, Lucas Moura, yeah. Vicario, Porro, yeah, all of them. You're absolutely right, mate. Maestri, hi James, long time listener. If this is too personal question, no need to answer. I feel like I'm going to blank this, obviously, but I'm really curious. What's the worst argument you and Suj have ever had? We've never had one, mate. We've never had one. We've never. Why would we argue? It's not my bitch. Why do we argue? We've never had one. We've disagreed on things. But even that has been a conversation, and ultimately he'll win, right? Basically. So that's the checks, isn't it? So if we have a disagreement, it wins. But if it's a content decision, I'll probably win, right? So, no, why would we argue? The beauty is as well, it's easy in, right? I think people think like we're best mates, like we're not. So we'll obviously message each other at the weekend and stuff, but we're not in each other's pockets saying the sort of stuff that we wouldn't then say in the podcast. Like, I talked about that in the pub on Saturday. They don't even live in the same country. So no, we've never argued. Chris saying such in 1 hour. Ryan Driver says, "Hi James, who do you predict for the Champions League spots this season? Thank you for the great content." Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City, and Burnley. Joking. No, I think it will go to 5th, and I actually still think Manchester United would be my tip for that. I know that will surprise people, but the lack of European football, I think, gives them a chance to have consistency. So I actually think United. I still think United will finish 5th. Mustafa Gaming, I couldn't give a shit for cricket, mate. Thank you, Owen, and thank you, Chris. Right, I'm gonna go. Lots of love. Smash a like, hit the sub button. Have a great weekend. Hope your arrows are green. See you for the Game Review podcast on Monday. Ciao for now.